This is the Alana Ubach Q&A, which I'm very excited about. You seem like a very charming person.
Glad to be here.
You sound very excited, and that makes me happy. So first question that we had for you, just bring it back to the very origin of the Alana Ubach story. What was your childhood like?
Oh wow, what was my childhood like?
Yeah.
Well, long and short of it, I was born and raised in Downey, California, home of the oldest original McDonald's still standing, and Karen and Richard Carpenter of the Carpenters.
Clearly a point of pride for you.
Close to you. I grew up around the block from them. I was on Lesterford and they were on Lubeck, and I remember trick-or-treating at the Carpenter's house, and they would give away dollar bills to the kids, which I thought was very fancy.
That's top tier.
So yes, I would dress up as one character and then go back to my house with my best friend Jesse, and we'd dress up like something else and go back. And I would make like $20 on Halloween night. It was really exciting. So my dad was a gambler. We'd go out to Vegas every other weekend, and he would always be at the crap tables. If he had a really good day, he'd slip the maitre d' like a $100 bill back then, and we'd get top-notch seats to the best shows, like Captain and Tennille and Charo and Wayne Newton and all of those. And I remember watching Captain and Tennille, and I looked over at my mom and dad and I asked them, do they go to the bathroom? Do they go pee? And my mom and dad said, well, yeah, Alana, those are real people up there. I was like, no, they're not. They're like, no, they don't box them up afterward. These are actual people, and they rehearse, and they practice, and they go to school, and they take this seriously. This is their job. And so I thought that's what I want to do. I want to live in the lights. And I always say that, and I know I sound like a broken record, but that was it. I wanted something that was untangible, which I think is really important when you want to perform. I remember Katie Holmes being in an interview and saying, all I wanted to do was, be married to Tom Cruise from the time I was a little girl. And I thought, wow, what an adult dream. Like, that's just such an adult kind of dream to have. It's like being 7 and saying, I want to do my taxes on time, and I never want to get a speeding ticket. I always think that you always have to remind yourself why you decided to do this in the first place, and you should always be that kid that plays freely on the playground without a care in the world, where the embarrassment chip is missing in your brain. It has to be, and I see so many fans of this world showing up and asking for autographs and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're all the same people, because I really do feel like integrity and really being private and public is really the key to performing, and that's what turns me on about it.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but the next thing we had for you, clearly you have a very colorful history in the industry, in various industries. You yourself probably serving as an inspiration to plenty of people who want to get into it.
I say yes to everything. Just say yes to everything.
Just say yes to
Say yes to everything. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're getting paid for it, you're playing a pickle, in some indie film with one line. Just do it. Just do it. Doing it, there's something, I always feel like it puts you on a certain kind of plane of working where you're sort of 5 steps ahead of everyone else you're competing with, because you're just so much more comfortable in that kind of atmosphere. And when you step away from it for a while and then you jump into it, it's tough, but it's just like a cyclist. Get on that bike every single day, you know what I mean? So say yes to everything. That's my motto.
So I'm going to go ahead and skip the question of what advice you would have for anyone getting into the industry.
There you go.
But for you, what personal challenges have you encountered, either with your career or even with your personal life? Because you even mentioned in your opening story, like, you see figures, much like yourself, who are, very gilded in a lot of ways, very idolized, but there's something humanizing about all of us, and I think a lot of people are curious as to what sort of humanizes you, what humanizes Alana Ubach.
Oh gosh, Well, I've never really wanted, I never saw myself as the lead in a film. That sort of makes me feel very kind of uncomfortable. For people to play themselves, I find that to be like such an art form in itself. A lot of stand-up comedians, right? They segue into just playing themselves in films. And they're put in really funny situations, and there you have it. But, like the Kevin Harts, which I find, wow, that it's just so brave to actually be able to play yourself in these movies and on television. But I've always loved the craft of becoming someone else completely different than myself. Because, when you're an actor, you don't want to play yourself. You want to have an accent. You want to have like a scar on your cheek. You want to have a different color, a wig on. And to me, acting is like Halloween. You want to be someone else. So becoming a character actress in my 40s really does make so much more sense than it ever has, because when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was, be weird and make people laugh, and I was very comfortable playing the best friend.
And now you're getting paid to be weird and be the best friend.
I get paid to be a schmuck. It's awesome. It's great. It's great.
So on the subject of getting to be different people.
Yeah.
What, if you had to, and this doesn't have to be limited to one, but what would you say some of your favorite roles have been throughout your career?
It really depends. It's really about, a lot of the time it is the entire trajectory of the experience, from auditioning for the role to actually getting it. But I just recently, I'm in a movie that's coming out called Bombshell. It's a Lionsgate movie starring Charlize Theron and Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie. And it's about all the women who basically take down the Roger Ailes sexual harassment thing that's going on, and they take him down. And I played Janine Pirro in the movie, the Fox News commentator, the crazy Janine Pirro. And I'm very excited about it. I don't look like myself. I have these very dark contact lenses on, very dark hair, and they've aged me. And I have this really bad spray tan, and I'm very proud of this movie. Very proud of it. It comes out during Christmas time. Go check it out, Bombshell.
Go see Bombshell.
Yeah.
So another recent movie you were in, which both the audience members and critics love, Coco.
Coco was amazing.
I was about to ask, what was it like to work on that?
Well, I was pregnant. I was very pregnant when I was working on Coco, and they would fly me out I was working on Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce in Vancouver, and they would fly me out from Vancouver to Emeryville, where the Pixar headquarters are. And basically, I was never told what the scenes were going to be. They were very afraid of sending, the script or anything like that, any kind of information about the movie via email. So I would find out about it the moment I got there. So I would fly in, and morning sickness or not, I got through it, and it was very meaningful for me, obviously, because my son was with me throughout the entire process, and it took about a year of recording for it to finally. Before I finally saw it on the screen, all sliced and diced together. I couldn't believe it. This is a magnificent film. I can't believe I'm in this. This is really wild. But, yeah.
I will confess, it took me longer than it should have to see Coco. My girlfriend really had to kind of push me to see it. I'm glad she did. It is a fantastic movie. You are delightful.
Oh,
as one of
the ending,
it's
boy.
wonderful. Oh, it's so strong.
Yes. That was something. Something.
Is there a dream role you would like to have? Like you throughout your career, you sit there and it's like, I really want to play this character or this person.
Wow. Well, I think when I was it's funny. All of my friends, as a joke, they say, you look like, and I was like, if you say Bethany Frankel, I will punch you in the freaking face. But I met her in person. I'm like, oh my God, I look like Bethany Frankel. I would love to do a really campy movie about her life because she's a really interesting character. She apparently used to rent out hotel rooms when she was like 15 years old and charge kids at the door for like non-alcoholic parties, and she made like, you know, a couple grand a weekend. So she was the total entrepreneur from the time she was a kid.
That's actually kind of genius.
Isn't it genius?
That's really smart, actually.
Genius! So she was a really interesting, she's a really interesting character. I'd like to explore her. Yeah, and there's also darker characters as well. I like to sometimes look online and look at historical figures that I could resemble, and I'm like, oh, and then I'll find out that, you know, those rights are not up for grabs and move on, that sort of a thing.
Do you have any hobbies? I mean, obviously you're a very busy woman, but you know, in the downtime, what do you like to do?
My hobby is my child. I honestly did not think I could get pregnant, and then it was the weirdest thing. Trump wins, and I'm very stressed out because I think, the world is ending. But overall, it's anyway. But I thought, oh wow, my life is over, and but my boobs are suddenly very huge. Why is that? Oh my gosh! So I went and took a pregnancy test, and lo and behold, I was like a month and a half pregnant. I couldn't believe it. And my husband is older, as am I, you know, and I was considered a geriatric pregnancy. It was the wildest thing. My son is everything to me now. So anytime I get a chance, you know, after Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce ended, and then I gave birth to my son, I went back to work a couple of months later, and I was always away. I was in New York doing Dietland, and then I came back, and then I was doing Snowfall, and then I went back to do The Good Cop, and then I came back. And I was breastfeeding at the same time, so I would like pump milk, put it in a FedEx box, and ship it over to my kid. It was crazy. But now he's 2, and he's hearty and fun and healthy, and I want to give everything to him. So it's interesting. No, but you know, you have to think about these things because it's all about, you know, the safety of your child and his happiness, and that means everything to me. And he's super goofy. So yeah, I'm just a mom on my off days. Yeah. You can find me at like Ralph's Supermarket or the park. I'm boring.
You're not boring. I think we're having a delightful time here.
Oh,
At least I am.
Oh, good. I love your tie, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Super cute.
I'm so flattered.
Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest lesson you have had to learn?
If I had to be honest, I'll give you you want me to be really honest?
Let's be real.
I'll be real
we're
with
here
you.
to see you be real.
Okay. Working with someone that you don't get along with, and they're supposed to be very dear to you on camera, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you have to conjure up those false emotions when you're really tired and you don't like the person. That is the hardest thing to do. It's working in a cubicle every single day next to someone who you hate, who you can't stand, and you know that person is not going anywhere. And before you know it, you know, time has gone by, and you're like, wow, this person has sort of become like that, you know, that family member that you're like, oh, there's Uncle Sal. He's the racist. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So it's very hard to remain Switzerland when it's a hostile work environment. And I've been there. Boy, those are tough.
See, that got super real when you started talking about cubicles and stuff, because I worked at a bank, and like in my entire, as you're talking about that whole thing,
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, it's that lady.
Yeah. Oh, there she is again.
There
yeah.
she is again, but she does her job too well to be fired.
That's it. That's
the
just
worst.
it.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
I apologize for having my own personal moment.
No, I love it. I love it. I brought something out in you.
Yeah, oh, you absolutely
It's all
did.
about purging.
Feelings of hate and spite. But kindred spirit there too.
Of course,
That
it
goes
sucks
with-
when your coworker is a jerk. You
Yeah.
know, it's horrible.
I think that's something we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Like the con share.
I've worked with about one, two, wait, cut on my finger. One, I worked with a director that was really abusive. That was tough. And I was a kid. I was afraid to go to work. That person, and then there was that person, the racist, and then it was that person that just had a God complex. I've about 4 people. 4 people where I'm like, I can't believe you're famous. I can't believe it. I can't believe people like you. It's horrible.
So this is gonna be the last question. What would you say, or I guess if you have one in the future, what would you consider this is kind of abstract, what would you consider your I made it moment?
I was on the set of Meet the Fockers, and I couldn't believe that I'd won out against all of these other women that were older, these actresses that were older, these comedians, and against all odds, I proved to Jay Roach that I could play the role. And we had like a 6 a.m. call time, and I was wearing my fat cushions, and I looked around, and there was Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro, Barbara Streisand, Terry Polo, and Ben Stiller, and Owen Wilson, and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this. I just remember this wave of calm coming over me, and feeling like, so this is amazing. And meeting them, they were all so sweet and so gifted. It's no wonder they're A-listers.
Yeah.
They're just the sweetest people you will ever meet.
All right, so that's the last question I had from staff. So I'm going to open it up to the audience. If anybody has a
You're gonna have to be
question,
like Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to like run out to the audience and
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Like a psychopath.
Phil.
Does he even know who Phil Donahue is?
You
Hey,
do not know.
no.
Phil Donahue.
I know who Phil Donahue is.
Oh,
Really?
Yes, like know who Phil Donahue is.
You were in diapers when he was popular.
I like old. That does not mean I don't know who Phil Donahue is. Why am I getting put on blast right now? You know what? In fairness, I could say I got put on blast by Lana Obach. That's a milestone.
Okay.
So I did some digging into your filmography and all that, and that's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty blown away by it.
Say yes to everything.
So yes, well, I mean,
I got
I
maybe 3
actually,
of those projects out of all of those.
I'm not an actor like you are. I'm actually an animator in like some local YouTube cluster of people, and saying yes is the worst thing I could ever do.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to animate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. Very
Yeah.
time consuming.
And I actually relate to a lot of what you were saying, working with people with God complexes, because some of these guys are pretty famous and they go straight to their head. Yeah, But
Well, the ego is cancer to the artist. It really is.
Oh.
It truly is. It's not. It is not good for anyone. In fact, the ego is not good for anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're an actor, or a dancer, or a politician, or what have you. But the ego is just when people allow themselves to get arrested by their egos, then humility is just thrown out the window, and that should be the engine for every choice you make
that's pretty good.
in any occupation.
I mean, I find myself talking to a lot of other animators, and they always have like this low self-esteem, and I just tell them like, hey, I mean, like,
It's a waste of time.
it's like the whole ego thing. It's like widely and like commonly bashed, but like you should like give yourself like permission to have an ego, at least in the form of confidence. But yeah, well, like what you said about humility as well.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think we're the only animals in the animal kingdom that do kind of allow our egos to get the best of us. I don't
Yeah.
see any, I don't see elephants
That's
acting with their
that's
egos,
the
or
honest.
lions, or anyone.
You get a taste for power and you go a little nuts.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, you know, when you realize that people are actually going to start listening to you, all of a sudden those bizarre beliefs that you don't know where they came from are just suddenly shooting out of your mouth.
They're not real.
Next thing you know, you're the president of the United States. And
Bam.
Put the end back at that guy.
sorry, I had to do it.
Good for you.
Right. Yeah. So, anyways, I was looking up your I keep wanting to say discography, like you're a band. No, your filmography, and I noticed something interesting down here. You play local population in Grand Theft Auto 5. Is that true?
Yeah.
Chances are I know exactly who you are because I've sunk a great deal of hours into that
Yeah.
game. Is it possible that you can drop me a line of one of the characters in the because you're playing background characters, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Get out of there, girl! You better run!
And I'd like to apologize because odds are I might have killed you multiple times.
I mean, like, in fairness, if you're doing lines for background characters
I
in
might have
GTA,
run you
kinda
over
signed
with a
up for
car,
that.
shot you with a rocket launcher, tossed a Molotov cocktail at you.
Best interview ever.
Yeah, but in spite of the fact that I have murdered you multiple times, I think you're wonderful. And
Thank you, sweetie.
I wouldn't do it in real life.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Who else wants to come up to the mic?
Has anyone else shot me
Anybody?
multiple times?
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I know you've done some singing in the past. Have you
Yeah.
ever thought about releasing any albums?
You know, I was thinking about releasing something with my husband. He's a record producer, and he's produced a lot of Latin records. And it's really a matter of getting all of the artists pinned down, and dates for them to fly out and to do songs with them and what have you. But we were planning on doing something. So let's see what comes from it. It's very, very hard to make a record, but I'm game, and I just have to pin my husband down and make sure he has the time to actually do it. So we'll see.
Can you sing a little bit of The Love Boat for us from Sister?
I was gonna say,
The
can we get a couple of bars? Because now I'm interested.
love boat soon will be making another run. All aboard. Yeah, that was pretty high from I was young back then.
That was the rock.
Sorry if you already talked about this, but we love your strudel in
Oh, Strudel.
that character, and I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about how it was to play her and be in that show.
Strudel was just an audition. I walked in and they had me play. They wanted me to play her like a as Germanic as possible. And I walked in and did my best Arnold Schwarzenegger meets Minnie Mouse, and that's basically how I. Well, yeah, she had a voice like this. Like this, yeah. And I thought, well, it's Minnie Mouse meets Arnold Schwarzenegger. If they had a child together, what would the character sound like? And it worked. It somehow worked, and we went on for years. It was the last recording that I had done with the group of actors all in the same room together. Because nowadays, voiceover acting is now quite solitary, unfortunately, because it's really hard to, again, pin people down with their schedules and everything. But Michael Rappaport and John DiMaggio and Yvette Nicole Brown and I would be there every single week playing. It was so much fun. So much fun, yeah. Voiceover actors are very, in my experience, childlike and super goofy. And that's my jam. So I'm always just, it's just a ray of sunshine for me to walk into voiceover work all the time. Those actors are just amazing. Yeah.
When you feel indulgent personally, like go for a minute, when you were talking about like doing this very like Germanic accent, going and like having no idea. In my spare time, I work with a local radio troupe. They're wonderful people, lovely people. I love them all. First audition I go into, and they have me read for a Hungarian police officer, and I'm like, I'm sitting there. The director's like, "Hey, can you do a Hungarian accent?" And I'm like, "I can try to do a Hungarian accent."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What did that one guy from the fourth Harry Potter movie sound like? Can I do that?" And that's exactly what it is. Like when you're put on the spot, it's like, this now.
So I'll raise my hand and just say, give me 5 minutes, I'll be right back. And I go to the bathroom and I'll look on Accent Archive.
Yep.
And I'll listen to the accent, or just, Hungarian accent, YouTube, boom.
Yeah, it's a godsend.
Yeah.
Thank God for the internet.
Thank God for the internet, boy. Yeah, there's so many blueprints out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Security guy in the back, you want to get part? All right, fine. We'll let security get in on this. Coming all the way up from the aisle from the back. We're just gonna look at him stride. Look
Hi.
how handsome he is. So handsome. Absolutely not.
Stop.
No.
So first I want to say my first induction to you ever was in Beekman's World. So thank you for that.
Right on.
The Canadian Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yay!
And the question I have is, have you ever come across, like when they ask you to do a character, you either find the character to be like, this character is a bit ridiculous and it doesn't really fit the plot or the story or the notes I have for you, or have you ever come across a character that you just really, really enjoyed and just made it into your own?
Wow, that's a good one. I mean, all of the
Thank goodness, I thought I was gonna look stupid of me.
all the characters I've auditioned for, you just give them a little tiny idea of an idea that you have, right? But for waiting, I had to find a reason for why she was so angry and why she was stuck at her job. And Robbie McNeil and I were on the phone together, and I said, I've got it. And he was like, well, what? And I was like, this is her backstory. Her mom and dad probably died in like a terrible car accident, right? And she was left to take care of her grandmother. And she probably had to like drop out of community college right away in order to work full time at the restaurant where she was working part time. And all of her dreams and aspirations were just killed in that accident. And so she's bitter and she's salty, and the only time she can ever loosen up is when she's drinking. And so I thought this is perfect. This is absolutely this is what I will carry with me the whole day.
Let me interject real quickly. When I first saw Waiting, I was staring at your character. I'm like, I know her from somewhere. I was probably 13 or 14.
No
and
way.
That's not the girl from Beekman's World, is it? Oh my God! Wow, things went bad after the show ended.
But yeah, it's it was one of those movies. I remember I hadn't read the entire script until I was at the airport about to board the plane to New Orleans to go shoot it, and I couldn't put it down, and I missed my plane flight. And I remember I had to wait 4 hours at the airport to hop on another plane because I'd missed it. I was so into the script. I thought it was so funny. And that's it's always different. Every character is different, and it's like building blocks. I'm gonna take a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and this person I know, and add that accent, and this backstory, and what have you. So yeah, everything is different and unique.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love your hat.
Oh, thank you.
Hi again.
Hi.
So I was just wondering, what was it like working with Lee Unkrich and the cast and the crew over at Pixar? Were they awesome to work with, or was there difficult?
No, my God, it was a dream come true to be working with them. I mean, Lee, he's such a creative soul. He was born and raised in Chagrin Falls, and my husband was born and raised in Solon, so we had that in common. But it's so clear why these people have such important positions at Pixar, one of the most amazing companies in the world for animation, you know, it's because they really love what they do. I mean, the integrity is there every step of the way. They never phone it in. There's no time, there's no room for that. So it's really phenomenal. It didn't surprise me that Coco was as magnificent as it was because of the people that were involved.
Are you a fan of any of the other Pixar films that they've made?
I like all of them. I just can't wait until my son gets a little older where he can understand. You know, I showed him Toy Story and he didn't really understand it very much. I need to at least buy him a Mr. Potato Head or something before he understands. He doesn't have a Barbie and Ken doll, or he doesn't know these characters yet.
I'm sure he'll know yours as soon as
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Look at those guys back there.
Those guys are cool. Yeah.
Woo! Awesome.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions from the audience, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, you
You're-
guys.
You're a delight.
Thank you. This is a lot of fun. Thank you.